Welcome back, everybody. This is Retro Challenge Gamer, and where we left off, we had just left Kakariko Village, and this dude is
totally are so not trained very well. Bad leadership.
Well, that knight was trained a little better, but we are heading over to the Eastern Palace to pick up on the trail of Sahashrala and hope he will give us what we need to get the Master Sword. But chances are, I don't think it'll be that, oh gosh, that easy. And we've encountered a new enemy, archers! And we are totally avoiding you. Get away. But, yeah, getting around the Hyrule Field is really not that bad. Hyrule Castle's at its center, and it's basically one big loop around the lake that surrounds Hyrule Castle.
My question is, when do you ever get Epona?
Oh, no, the Epona wasn't in existence in Zelda games until Ocarina of Time, which is the game...
Was that the second game you
No, that was... It's the 5th game in the series, because after this one... Hey, here's Sahashrala. Link's Awakening for Game Boy came out, and then Ocarina of Time. I think that was...
Yeah, but wasn't Ocarina of Time the second game I was introduced to?
Yes.
Okay.
I like the two choices. Yeah! Of course! It's not like I have a choice. So, as a test...
Yes, you do. You could say yes, or of course.
So...
It's just two positive choices.
Yes, two positive choices. We can't just say no. But we need some hearts. But yes, we knew it wouldn't be that easy. He wants us to get the Pendant of Courage right there. Oh my goodness. We got 3 pendants and a Master Sword in the upper left. So it looks like this task of getting the Master Sword is going to be a lot bigger than we expected. And this is this game's version of Armos Knights. And they are strangely only found here in the Eastern Palace. I would imagine I would have found them, you know, in other places in this game, but unfortunately they're only here at the Eastern Palace. So, kind of a limited run enemy, in a way. Because they were so prevalent in the first game.
Which game was that one?
The first one we played, Legend of Zelda, the original. Oh my goodness, get away. Okay, this is it. Our very first official dungeon of this game. Listen to that awesome intro music to the dungeon. Get used to it. Because...
Oh, like jellies!
No, they look more like tentacles. Tentacle bushes.
Okay, so they're either octopuses or, squid.
I'm just gonna call them tentacle bushes. Oh my goodness. Look at this! Ah! Rolling bowling balls of death! And a huge one! Oh my goodness. That's the one I was waiting on. I was waiting for that one to pass by. But I can't...
Bowling balls to be rolling like that, this is not a modern castle. Because it's supposed to be an old castle. How did they get balls to roll like that?
I don't know, but...
There has to be a conveyor belt, but that didn't happen until more modern times.
Nope.
There's a problem with this
Well,
picture.
well, actually, it could have been force of motion, too. Because it could have been like a curved slope, and balls are falling down and then rolling out down the corridor until they come to a complete stop at the other end. Who knows? Could be a force of motion type thing. Anyway, we're over here trying to find... Oh, of course, it would be in the center. That was simple. Okay, and here's our map. And the Eastern Palace isn't really that big. I guess for a first dungeon, it's lengthy, but not really that bad. And we got our first hint of depth in these dungeons, which is something new they added compared to the first 2 games. The first 2 games, most dungeons were on a flat level plane. Here, they are introducing things of depth where they have multiple floors to each dungeon on the same screen, and you can jump back and forth between the 2 of them. This is more prevalent in the later dungeons. Specifically, I would imagine, if my memory serves me, dungeon number 4 in the Dark World. That one is all sorts of over-under type of gameplay. And I think I have to kill all 4 of these to proceed. I like the fact that here, rather than in any other room, there's like a whole bunch of bones.
I'd say that's a skeleton.
Ah, compass. The compass I find in Link to the Past and earlier Zelda games as being pretty darn useless. Because all it does is it just reveals where the dungeon boss is. Oh yeah, and these are telepathic tiles. Right now, it doesn't give you any sort of real hints, but it's basically Sahashrala telling you, hey, when you read or touch these panels, I'll give you a hint in the current dungeon. But not right now. But back to the compass. In later games, I found that they don't just reveal the location of the boss, but they also reveal the location of all treasure chests, which I think is far more useful for a compass. So getting the compass in these early games, like this one, kind of pointless. I mean, unless you
But
really...
you get it for the completion type thing.
Yeah, for the completionist's sake, but if you really want to use it for its useful practicality factor, it's very low. Because, I mean, once you figure out where the boss is, your first playthrough, all subsequent playthroughs, you really don't need the compass. So...
I wish I could go into a castle and just break jars.
Oh, there's been many jokes online about the fetish, as it were, of Link in a room full of pottery.
I can see why.
There was one funny picture where it's like a dual picture. On the left side was a picture full of pottery, and then on the right side was this goofy-looking Link face as he's like ecstatic with joy. He's like, "Oh my goodness, pots! I must break all." Anyway, this is another
They
case.
would so be fired at like those. What is that shop? There's a shop that just does all pottery and ceramics.
Little Shop of Horrors? I don't know.
I wouldn't know.
Oh, we're not talking about plant pottery. Got it.
No. Although that type of pottery could actually be broken.
But, yeah. Just don't trust Link around any sort of pottery. Yeah, there's just stuff... He just wants to find stuff in pots. Like, look at this. I'm finding arrows. I mean, come on. And bombs, too. But that wasn't in a pot. And this is...
That is a huge chest.
Yes. Thank you for mentioning that. The Link to the Past is the first game that introduces the concept of big chests, big keys, and stuff like that. Now the boss key...
Their heads are floating.
Yep.
That is kind of creepy for skulls. Nice.
Hold on. I don't like these guys. They move way too fast. Come on. Whew. There we go. I have lost my train of thought.
Something about the big chests and the big keys.
Yes. Link to the Past introduced big chests, but it's not until Ocarina of Time which introduces the big boss key chests, where you need a special key just to access the boss. But this game was the start of that type of concept with the big chests and the big keys. Because up to this point, it was just nothing but normal keys. So, if you want to get an idea of where most of the conventions of Zelda started, it actually started with really this game. This game introduced a lot of concepts that are in the series today, and oh my goodness, what an impractical room for a palace.
That's the the bowling room.
Yes, exactly, and you're the pin.
Thought of it like that.
Alright.
Get some jelly bushes.
Jelly bushes?
That's what
How about jelly tentacle bushes? There you go. Alright, we're gonna need some extra arrows here. I need more arrows. Thank you! Because we're coming up on the first major boss, which would be the Armos Knights. Eastern Palace. I don't know. Do you? But their weakness would be naturally the item of the dungeon, the bow and arrows. They take about 3 shots per Armos Knight, and it doesn't matter if they're in the middle of a hop or if they're landing on the ground. The arrows will hit them every single time, so that's nice. And once you have all but one down, the last one gets totally pissed off and goes red on you and starts actively trying to stomp on you. But he's easily beaten, and unfortunately I must grab this heart container. Otherwise this pendant won't fall. So we now have 4 hearts, and we are continuing onward to see if we can claim the next 2. We have won the Pendant of Courage! Take it to Sahashrala! 2 pendants remain.
Now, this is the only time that he's done pendants.
Mm-hmm.
That just...
Well, we've done something similar in Ocarina of Time with the Goron's Ruby, Kokiri Emerald, and Zora Sapphire. It was 3 kind of, pendant or jewels. And then we later decided to start collecting medallions. Basically, that type of gameplay collection stemmed from this game. So, you start off with pendants, and then a massive upheaval happens in terms of gameplay, and now you're thrust into a new world or a new area, and now you have to collect something different, which in this case would be crystals with maidens in them.
Okay.
And now we get a...
The fact that they use pendants, you know that this is really old. I'd say medievalish.
Medievalish. And now we get the Pegasus shoes! One of the most useful items ever introduced. And yes, he is mentioning something about the east side of Lake Hyla, and that is the ice rod. And we will be getting it because we actually need it for one of the bosses in the Dark World. But since none of our paths lead us there at this current juncture, I'm not going to take the time to go... to go visit Lake Hyla and gather the ice rod just yet. So instead, we are going to move onward, back to Kakariko Village.
I love that place. I'm gonna move there when we retire.
Which one? There's multiple variations of Kakariko Village.
I don't care about whichever one I want. I want it to be called Kakariko Village.
Oh gosh! Run, Link! Run! Alright, so we're gonna go all the way back to Kakariko Village, and this is a puzzle that totally just stumped me completely, and it wasn't until I started looking for some outside help that I was able to complete it. To actually enter the second dungeon, you actually need to solve the riddle of the library, and that is, yep, the library here.
Read a book.
Yes,
Get a grade.
There's one book we need here. See, the Book of Mudora. You actually have to use the Pegasus shoes to ram into the bookcase to knock it off the top, so you can grab it. I mean, that is pretty vague, and there's no clues that you need to do this. I mean, some people in town tell you to run into trees to, shake items off of, out of the branches, but none of them specifically state that, hey, you can also do this to bookcases. You kind of have to just infer that you can do this to almost any object in the game to knock things out of it. So, yeah, I needed
I didn't even touch him, and he still died.
Yeah, he did.
He's a lousy soldier. I will not come to that funeral of that soldier right there. You understand that?
And I also will say, this is also around the time me exploring the desert and trying to get to the second dungeon where I threw up.
Where you threw up what?
Where I actually threw up. You're like, what? So let me explain.
I don't know what that means.
I literally threw up trying to get to the second dungeon, and it wasn't for the reasons you think. My mother got this game for me when it first came out, and I was obsessed. I played this game on the first day. I think she got it for me Friday evening, and she said not to play it until like Saturday morning. And oh gosh, I played it for that was close. Oh my goodness, I'm like sucking. Get me out of here! And so,
Look, it's a vulture.
yep. And so I was playing it for literally hours on end, and it was pretty nuts. And by the time I got to this point, I had not realized that I hadn't eaten. And oh yeah, this is the place where you need to use the Book of Mudora to actually read it, and then you get one of the rare instances in the entire game, or game series, where he actually prays. I don't know what he's praying for, but he's praying to open up.
He's a quiet Christian.
Yeah, until they change the mythology.
But, yeah.
But he's praying for the dungeon to open up. Why would you pray for that? I don't know. But back to the story. I think I'd played for about 10 hours straight this game.
Saturday morning?
Saturday total.
Oh.
And I hadn't eaten breakfast, I hadn't eaten lunch, and it got to the point where I was completely, I guess you could say, malnourished or something that day, and I threw up. And my body was just like telling me like, hey dummy, you gotta eat something. So
Oh look, those plant bombs.
no, those are levers.
Oh. I like my turn red.
Plant bombs are used. Wow.
Well, I could call them bomb plants.
True, but they're levers. Yay, we got a map.
Yeah, well,
Maps are always useful.
yes.
So again,
Especially if you don't ever want to learn how to read them and you have fun giving people the wrong directions.
so but that's my story of how Link to the Past made me sick. It's because I loved playing it so much, I got sick, and I totally went the wrong way. This is a trap room. Oh gosh!
You're going to die.
No, I'm not. But this guy is. Oh! If I can ever hit him! Thank you. Okay, so folks, don't go into this room. It was a trap room. All it is just a bunch of enemies that just come out to kill you. That's it. So, don't do it. Don't do drugs, kids.
Yeah, this was your obsession and I was your later obsession.
Oh my goodness, I totally forgot I need keys.
Well, yeah. I'm not just gonna let you walk into some 500-year-old castle without giving you the keys.
You call this a castle with sand on the floor?
It's a sheik's castle. Don't get me wrong. It's
I'm
a
sorry,
desert
but the royal attendants did not do their jobs cleaning up this place. Oh look, another place you can use your Pegasus boots. Okay, that was the most useless hint ever. You must never fail to find all the treasures in the dungeon. Duh. I'm sorry, but that's just common sense.
Not everybody has common sense. I'm one of them. I would have actually needed to know that.
Yes, honey, you must find every treasure in all the dungeons. I mean, wouldn't you be doing that automatically anyway?
I don't know. Because usually if I was thinking about stealing stuff and not Link can get away with it. If I was looking for stealing stuff, I would probably be in some serious trouble.
Yes, and this game also introduces the Beamos. Those little statues that shoot laser beams out their eyes. I know, but this is the game where they were introduced. And made them feared.
Once since this game's seen the rolling balls.
Actually, Ocarina of Time has them, but not in this form, but they have them. Anyway, we're coming up on the end of this, our time here,
Yep.
so we're going to cut it pretty short here after going through this doorway. So, until the next video, see you later!